Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Hypertrophy Over Coffee podcast. I hope you're doing well. I hope you have a coffee in hand, and I hope you're ready to learn about hypertrophy. Today, we have a very special guest, and a guest podcast is very, very rare on this podcast. Mainly, and I was speaking to Adam off air, mainly from trying to align my time with someone else's time. Luckily, our times have aligned, and we have a very special guest in the form of the British overall fucking champ, Adam Powe. How are we, senor?
Yeah, I'm doing really well.
Yeah.
Just at the moment, yeah.
Yeah. Adam is not only a British champ, he's also an online coach. He's also a sponsored athlete, or is what was it? An affiliate athlete, and also a father. So yeah, basically what we'll do is we'll let you have the floor and kind of explain a few things, your background, how you started lifting and all that good stuff, and then obviously you can fill us in terms of your competitive season. Well, so far.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I started training when I was 15, so I'm just turned 24 now, and I got into it basically because I was playing rugby, and
Yeah.
when I was like, I think when I was like 13 years old, I was like the same height, and then I stopped growing, and I was like, right, well, because I was one of the more physical players, I was like, right, I need to grow outwards instead of
Yeah.
tall. Yeah, I started training and I just absolutely loved training.
Yeah.
And with that came quite a bit of muscle growth pretty quick when I was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just training and just trying to get strong with awful form.
Yeah.
We had a gym at school where I just trained out there. And yeah, it soon became apparent. I was like, well, for my age, I've got a decent level of like muscularity, and I thought, well, I need to make the most of this, and I love to train.
Yep.
And I was watching YouTube, and I was like, right, let's compete. And I came across someone, a local, who prepped clients, and I started working with him for a few years, and yeah, had a pretty good run.
Mhm.
Uh, I wouldn't say every show I did from the start was that competitive, but I won like my first few shows, and then 2019 was my first like proper competitive season where I actually came second in the qualifier. Wasn't lean enough, but then because my qualifier was in June, it gave us a lot of time to come in pretty conditioned for
Yep.
the finals, where I took the 2019 juniors at UKDFBA, which was an amazing feeling. And then took a year out, came back far too soft with the previous coach, and didn't come in lean enough. Quite a few things were off that prep, and turned up hoping to, you know, reclaim my junior title, come in fifth, and that stung quite a lot because not because of the placement, but just more so like I was the best British like junior bodybuilder, and I lost to two British competitors who came third and fourth that were arguably, in my opinion, not as they didn't carry as much muscle tissue. So clearly something went wrong, and
Yep.
that's the last thing you want from a prep. You don't want to look at yourself and think this was off, this was off. You want to be like, well, okay, I came fifth, but at least I looked my best.
Yep.
And I was far from it, and it hurt because it was a very tough prep. And then that's where myself and AJ have been friends for like many years. We talk back and forth on Instagram. I remember walking off the stage, approaching AJ as he was chilling out because he was competing in a few hours, and I was like, "What do you think?" Because I always respected his opinion, and he was like, "You just didn't have that 2019 conditioning, and they marked you down for that." And after that conversation, I reflected for a couple of days. I was very upset and with my placing, and just like wondering, what I was going to do. And thankfully, I approached AJ, and he made it very clear what happened. It soon came to light that this was not me at my best at all, and I still have this very good potential. And we worked together with the goal of this season, a short off season of 6 months, where the main focus was putting on some muscle, but also making sure the starting point was really good,
Yep.
and having a very good prep, getting everything aligned for that prep, which has gone pretty pretty well. So winning the qualifier, and then I just was short of the overall, I think, at the qualifier. And then actually winning the UK overall. Christoph beat me, the European, but I like to think it was pretty close. But his conditioning was just superb.
Yeah, I'm going to actually try and get Christoph on. That's one of my next people on the list. I'll see if I can align times with him. But yeah, he's someone who I've followed for a while. I know he compete or tried to compete maybe a couple of years ago. I don't quite know what happened, but yeah, he's someone who's just fucking nasty, especially like legs and stuff like that. But
yeah, his training is very good.
Yeah, but I feel like that should be like worlds, right? UK DFBA, and then obviously like there's obviously you can't necessarily say excuse me, like where the fuck are you from, kind of thing. But at the same time, it's kind of like everyone, especially nowadays, like I think everyone will have like either WMBF. WMBF seems to be like going in every single country, like at the moment. So maybe there's going to be something like that where they can basically compete at a competitive level, like we have here, like UK DFBA.
Yeah. Well, I was very happy to see this year, like they're kind of listening to that sort of issue before the European competitors and UK competitors. This was the first year where they go, right, okay, well, we're going to give a UK title and a European overall title. I was very, very pleased to see that they've been very mindful of that, because before it was like, as I was leaning into the show, I was thinking like, how come these Europeans, because they don't have to qualify, they can sort of, I think Lee assesses them and looks at them as they're good enough, to be fair. But yeah, it was nice to see, like, even in the overall, there was a tall UK guy in there, even though he came third.
Okay.
Because he was the best UK.
Yeah, that's good.
So they've got two sort of competitions going on at the same time in terms of the UK and then
that's pretty cool.
Overall, yeah.
No, I didn't actually know about that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I think that like the UK is probably is probably the best. I would also say, like, in terms of like the natural on the scene, but you're just gonna get some like wacky German come in and kind of like
I think the numbers, like in terms of numbers, the UK is by far the best.
Yeah.
But then there's the occasional, like you said, just European freak that comes up. Especially last year, I don't know if you saw. I think it's called Marcus. He was champ that took the overall, which he was just nuts. But yeah.
So we'll talk about like the actual prep in depth, and also just from a context perspective, you were junior British champion, then you competed in juniors again, and this year you've actually stepped up into medium, right?
Medium class.
So that's quite a big one, because you obviously didn't retain your junior title. You actually took the big boy show, as it were. But yeah, talk us through basically like the transition from potentially when you stepped off stage and obviously spoke to AJ, obviously the off season, but specifically trying to align yourself with the on season, as it were, like the start of prep. What was that kind of journey like?
So it was very much so in the sense of like post-show, just recovering. So like, I think there's a bit of a misconception post-show. People think, oh, you need to do these really slow reverse diets to stay lean. And the actuality is, if you want to stay lean, get your food up high, let your metabolism do the work. And that's what we did. Recover quick. Understand you might gain a bit of body weight quickly, but then after that, just take your time with it. You don't need to rush food up. And then I think with my previous coach was kind of the reverse. It's like very steady reverse diet, and it's like, right, we're into the off season now. Let's bump the calories up, which is the wrong approach. And what I found contributed so much to the success of this prep was the later stages of the off season. Just the reluctance of AJ to increase my food. Like there was points where I was like, okay, I think I'm going to get more food now. Funny enough, because it was only a 6-month off season, my food focus never really went completely away.
Okay.
So I was thinking like, oh, we're going to get more food now.
But now you're in prep.
Yeah, then now we're in prep and the food focus is still there. That was fun, but it was that move that allowed me to get into a good condition this year. And even then, like I look back now, being at the condition I'm at now, and I see my physique then, and I think, well, actually that wasn't that lean. Like it was a good spot, but it just shows how prep really skews your sort of perception of what is lean and isn't.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think maybe next prep, I think our AJ might arguably say like, yeah, let's start prep not that much heavier than how we started this year, because I think even now we've realised there's still more to come off than you think.
Yeah, for sure.
I've pulled off almost 19 kilos, and that was from a pretty good spot. But it's just the amount that had to come off the glutes and areas. It's just there's just a lot to really pull off.
Yeah. I feel like with a lot of people's off seasons, like obviously the goal is to try and drive body weight up. So it's obviously you have like peak training performance in terms of the off season, but a lot of that times, especially in the massing phase, it's like people just get a bit sloppy because essentially, and I've done it before, essentially you just want to like eat everything in sight, and you can almost like go into that mindset of wanting to force muscle gain, because essentially it's like I'm gaining at this percent per week, but then you're not really looking at like what the actual physique is telling you, right? And I feel like a proper off season isn't necessarily you're hungry, but it's definitely like, oh god, I'm gonna get like, let's see if we can quit this quick. It's definitely like almost getting to the point where you are not hungry, but you're getting to the point where you're almost like holding yourself back at times in the off season. So that's definitely something that maybe is of some use to some people.
I think as well with that is like, it's not just the food, like myself wanting more food just to eat more food, which I did, but it was also just like, I'm very fixated on my movements and getting strong. And I kind of want to, sometimes I think people want to rush that. They think about their presses and how much stronger you'll be if you just pile on a lot of body weight. And it's like, yeah, you will, but is that going to correlate with muscle tissue, or is it just the fact that you've got loads of upper back fat to help in press or something like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Which should come with time, but you don't want to, you can only grow so much muscle in a week. And I think, sometimes when people self-coach, it's like they want to, that you can, it's very easy to rush that process, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a big one. I think that's when you self-coach, you're almost like, especially again, like the pressing situation, you've got like the Nautilus incline, for example, and like you've got to hit like, I don't know, the stack and a gym pin 20, and then you're kind of looking at them numbers thinking, how the fuck am I going to hit that again? So you almost like force feed, like you almost kind of go over a little bit just to see if you can basically increase numbers. And that's definitely something that I have done, especially with the Nautilus incline press.
I think
yeah, for sure. So in terms of the kind of, was there any digging process, or was it just like a straight linear like 19 kilograms? Was there any situation where you were kind of like very much in that digging phase, or?
Yeah, there's been two stages where we very much digged, and that was post qualifier and post this show. So it's like what we learned from after the qualifier, it was very apparent. It's like, right, we've got a certain amount of body weight we need to pull off if we want to be at a very good condition. There was still a fair amount to come off the glutes. We saw that when I stepped on stage. And we just had to get after it basically with fat loss. And I think I pulled off like 7 pounds in a few weeks. But what we learned from that, which is now the reason why we're doing it now, is like we didn't sacrifice tissue. And I think that's down to just like fatigue management, coming out of a peak week full of carbs, basically essentially a diet break with how we treat the peak week itself, being like a full 7 to 9 days of linear loading. And then also just where I've got my training execution, and also thankfully to the coach gym using seat belts, just very stable machines, utilizing the appropriate exercises. Like we swapped dumbbell presses out for the Nautilus incline. Like all these things have just contributed to the fact that we can just be assertive with fat loss just a short period of time and preserve tissue.
And training with Charlie.
Training with Charlie helps.
He can have half the trophy or half the belt.
Well, he's every time we train, he'll be counting 8 seconds whilst I hold my pose in.
Oh, really?
But we just got to this point now where we've agreed, like, I'm on certain days getting in earlier and just getting in and out because I'm just dragging so much at the end. And Charlie's in like deep off season where you just are in there for 3 hours, not in a rush to train, taking his time.
Very lethargic.
And I'm just there like, can we get in there?
Sweet. So in terms of like the plans now, is the plan another show, or is it off season? What's the plan there? Obviously, you
So
said about digging, so I kind of know that, but
yeah. So the plan is the European show in Budapest,
yep.
IMPA Europeans, and then after that, the Natural Olympia in like 3 weeks' time, 12th of November in Vegas, which I'm really excited for. So you have to place top 6 to qualify for the Natural Olympia. AJ says like you're going to qualify, so I'm assuming I'm going to be going to that show as well, and we'll see. You know, if there's a potentiality of a pro card there, that'd be really cool. I think the situation changed a bit with pro cards at the finals. I think the approach is like the UK the FBA is a really good feeder show to then, you know, you can get a pro card by winning a world title.
Yep.
I'm not too fixated on the pro card sort of status though, because regardless, to hang with people like Mitch Jarvis and like, you know, I need time anyway. So
yeah, Mitch and Ben are fucking savages, but
yeah, exactly. It's just that time spent training. It's just that's what I need.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that I think a lot of people, especially with like the pro situation, it's always like you've got the pro card, then it's always like the next step is like the pro show like 2 weeks later, and it's like, yeah, it's like give yourself a little bit of time. I suppose it's kind of a good experience and kind of a good learning curve. But yeah, is that so? What pro card would that be with the Worlds? Is that
IMBA Pro? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a very good federation because they've got a lot more pro shows to do than like the WNBF. There's like one pro show a year, and it's just the WNBF Worlds. So
yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. So is a plan then Worlds then off season straight away?
Yeah. So the
slow reverse.
Natural Olympia, and then off season. Definitely not a slow reverse.
Slow reverse in Vegas.
Yeah, that's not. I don't know how you do. Yeah, I'm definitely having a good few days of just eating food because it's been a long prep, and my food focus right now is
yeah, we'll blame AJ. Yeah, have you ever been to Vegas or not? As a side note.
I actually went ages ago when I was like 13 with my family, but
okay.
Yeah,
I'll text you some good places.
Well, I saw Jack show me this place called Sushi Alaska.
Okay. Yeah. And they've got this. It's very much a like a buffet culture. So like if you like all you can eat buffets, it's just like they're just fucking everywhere. So
that's dangerous.
Very. But yeah, they've got some nasty food selections. Anyway, is there anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, I think I've covered most things my end. Yeah.
Cool. You got to answer the phone.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping someone answers that, but we'll just let him ring.
Okay. Where can everyone find you? Of course, is the last.
Yeah, Instagram. So Adam.Powe_, and then my YouTube is just Adam Powe as well.
Sweet. Yeah. We'll that's it. That's easy enough. We'll see. Go and follow Adam, and then obviously you can see him win his pro card. So I'll leave you to it then. And guys, I'll speak to you in the next podcast. We'll see if we can get some more guests on, like lovely Adam. And yeah, peace.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.